Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. हेलो हेलो माइक टेस्टिंग हेलो अंदर थोड़ी जाती है क्या बात कर तुम बात कर रहे हो ना जी
Hi friends, please close your eyes for a minute. Online students, please type yes that you are with me. Please type yes. Yes. ठीक है. Pass the mic to Bitya. Bitya, tell me, we had discussed what all in the last lecture?
EWS reservation.
Into the mic, yes, and louder so that, see the mic, the online students can hear you, and you have to be loud enough so that the classroom students can hear you.
EWS reservation.
EWS reservation. Is she right?
Yeah, criticism.
Okay.
National.
And
then Indian federalism.
Indian federalism. So give me some arguments in favor of EWS reservation.
In favor of. That constitution also talks about economic justice.
Where?
Economic justice preamble.
It talks about economic
Justice.
justice. ठीक है, great. What else?
And justice. And most of the party supported it.
Very good. ठीक है, pass it on. Give me some arguments against EWS reservation or a criticism of EWS reservation.
I didn't revise sir
Not good ना. क्यों नहीं पढ़ रहे हम? Yes. हाँ हाँ. बताइए बेटा. Some arguments against or criticism of EWS reservation.
Sir, the actual premises of reservation is defeated. The actual purpose of reservation is defeated.
What is the actual purpose of reservation which stands defeated by this EWS reservation?
Sir, basically the purpose of reservation is representation
Of
socially backward classes.
of those sections of the society which have been historically denied participation. है ना? And the forward castes who are given reservation under EWS, they have not been deprived. Wonderful. Pass it to Bitya. हाँ, और बताइए.
Sir, according to
योगेंद्र यादव,
it's like a hoax because सबको मिलने का मतलब है किसी को नहीं मिलना.
सबको मिलने का मतलब है किसी को नहीं मिलना, and the 8 lakh limit of EWS reservation is too high, so that it includes a huge chunk of the population.
Also, it breached the 50% of the Supreme Court judgment.
It breaches the 50% cap on total reservations. So,
encouraging more compartmentalization of more people asking for it, basically.
Basically, then there is no stopping reservation. Great. Pass it on. और क्या पढ़ा था हमने? Okay.
Evolution.
Before we move on to that, what is EWS?
So it's a reservation for economically weaker section.
What is the criteria for identifying EWS?
10% reservations in all sections.
One second. Is the students, classroom students' voice audible to the online students? Please type yes. If it is, not like mandatorily. No. They're saying no.
Hello.
But they're also saying yes. What did you do?
Hello. Am I audible?
Some are saying no, some are saying yes. Some are saying it's perfect. Chaliye, let's take it at that. हाँ बताइए.
Sir, EWS reservation policy says that 10% reservation for the economical weaker sections.
And who are EWS? Who are economically weaker?
Those whose family income is below 8 lakhs.
Below 8 lakh family income. That's it.
Yes. And some plot and also I'm not able to remind now.
ठीक है, but very importantly, you missed out one core thing. If I am a scheduled caste person with 4 lakh annual income.
Other than scheduled caste, OBC and STs.
Other than SC, ST, OBC. Very good. ठीक है, and some land and plot criteria which he is forgetting, which is okay. ठीक है. Pass it on. और क्या पढ़ा था हमने?
Sir, evolution of political system in India.
तो बताओ कहानी उसकी.
Sir, the first one is Nehruvian period.
Nehruvian.
सर ये 1947 से 1965 की पीरियड के बीच का है.
Yes.
इसमें हमारे पास पॉलिटिकल स्टॉलवार्ट्स थे बड़े बड़े और हाई पॉलिटिकल.
इसको क्या बोलते थे इस फेज को?
कांग्रेस फेज.
कांग्रेस.
सॉरी सर.
पढ़िए. पास इट ऑन.
सर गोल्डन पीरियड.
ये आपने आम बात कर दी. कांग्रेस सिस्टम फेज. गर्दन क्या हिला रहे हो? Why was it called the Congress system phase, the first era? The first phase.
It was dominated single party system. One of the reason was single party system.
Single party system नहीं था.
No, sir. Representation was mainly represented by the Congress party.
Single party dominance system था.
Yes, sir.
फर्क है ना? सिंगल पार्टी डोमिनेंस सिस्टम था जिसमें दो टाइप की पार्टीज होती थी, नेमली. लेट बेटा टेल. आर यू बेटा? Please revise, bete. Pass it on. What were the two types of parties in the first phase or in the single party dominant system?
Parties of pressure and parties of consensus.
Very good. Parties of pressure and party of
Consensus.
consensus. Congress क्या थी?
Consensus.
Consensus. Great. Pass it on. Tell me about Indian federalism. What is federalism? पढ़ा होगा ना? हाँ.
Devolution of power from center to the sub-nations.
Devolution of power को क्या बोलते हैं? Decentralization. Federalism का क्या अर्थ है? Take it from her and give it to somebody in some other part of the world. Yes? Speak in the mic. Not revised. Pass it on. यही था आपका दूसरा part of the world. हाँ.
So federalism is like distribution of power.
Distribution of powers
between the central authority.
Between the center and
the other units, like state unit
and the states. Wonderful. Pass it on. What is the nature of Indian federalism, Bitya?
Sir, I haven't revised.
Into the mic.
I haven't revised. Sir.
I have not revised. Pass it on.
Quasi-federal.
Quasi-federal. Meaning?
Sir, it means that some things are related to only centers. and some things are related to states. Like for state, we have different budgets.
Okay.
We have different constitution amendments for state.
ठीक है.
And for center.
For states के लिए different constitutional amendment है. For the federal aspects of the constitution, there's a more rigorous amendment procedure. All right.
And for the center, single citizenship.
Single citizenship. Pass it on. और थोड़े centralizing aspects बताइए हमारे constitution and polity के.
Sir, I was absent that day.
Oh. This is Lakshmikant.
I haven't read that yet.
Great. Pass it on then. हाँ. Tell me, which has been the golden period for Indian federalism? Bitya.
Third phase.
Into the mic.
Third phase.
Third phase and why? And into the mic.
उस टाइम कोलिजन गवर्नमेंट स्टार्ट हो गया था.
कोएलिशन कहाँ पे? सेंटर में. सेंटर में कोएलिशन स्टार्ट हो गया था एंड सेंट्रल या जो नेशनल पार्टीज थी दे वर डिपेंडेंट ऑन स्टेट्स या रीजनल पार्टी सपोर्ट टू स्टे अफ्लोट टू फॉर द गवर्नमेंट्स टू स्टे इन पावर. ठीक है. और एक जजमेंट आया था कौन सा? रिवाइज. पास इट ऑन टू ब्रदर. विथ जजमेंट?
SR Bommai case.
Bommai judgment. What did it say?
Federalism is basic structure of Indian Constitution.
Okay, fine. Pass it on. Were you attending classes online?
I have missed some.
Missed some. So you won't be like connected with the last lecture? You have taken the last lecture. Which is your favorite political philosophy?
I haven't thought on it yet.
Think now. आपको ना in the interview also you can get such questions. And which will be your favorite? That which is not too extreme. Okay, so it should not be Marxist या ऐसे नहीं. Huh? And that which you are thoroughly acquainted with. So you can articulate well. वो होगी आपकी favorite. Huh? Doesn't matter if it is Nehruvian या Gandhian या है ना? Pass it on. हाँ बेटे.
Sir, my favorite is Nehruvian.
Nehruvian, very clever. What is it?
Sir, it focuses on the state. Unlike Gandhi, it says that state.
So what is his vision of the state? What is Nehru's vision or his understanding of the role of the state in the society?
State will play a central role.
State will play a
central role.
Central role. क्या किस चीज में?
In planning, development and all things.
In planning, development, etc.
Yes.
ठीक है. All right. Pass it on. Your favorite political philosophy.
It's not over here, sir.
Okay, never mind. You can still elaborate, even if it's not amongst the ones discussed.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Gandhi. हाँ. क्या कहते थे पापू?
He was basically an anarchist.
Anarchist. Didn't we discuss Gandhi's views? Then why are you saying it's not there?
No, my favorite philosophy is not there. Just like.
अच्छा, you don't have a favorite philosophy. Saying मैं बना रहा हूँ. हाँ, बनाइए.
Mahatma Gandhi, he was an anarchist. He didn't believe in a centralized state because state has the potential for violence. And
yes, very good, very well articulated. State has the potential for violence.
So he was against state and he was for Gram Swaraj.
Gram Swaraj.
For the ground-based government, like a self-government model.
हाँ, बिल्कुल. Decentralization at the village level, grassroots level.
Yeah. And
what were Gandhi's views on democracy? Was he against democratic polity?
He was for the democratic, but the state, if state is there, then it should be in the democratic.
It should be democratic. Great. Thank you. चलिए. So from democracy, let us move on to demography. Sorry? It's a new topic. ठीक? What is demography? As we always do, we begin with Sandhi Vichhed. Demos means, we discussed demos plus cracy is democracy. What is demos? Okay, he's got a doubt. What a puncture. Okay, legit doubt. Can we mention names of political leaders and institutions like RSS, etc., while writing answers? So as far as leaders go, yes, you can. You can very very freely use dead leaders' names. Okay? But respectfully, it should not be like it. Huh? So Nehru, Gandhi, use them freely. Even Indira Gandhi, freely you can use. In general, one can avoid living politicians' names. Okay? You may somewhere mention, say, the Prime Minister, but then respectfully. Okay? According to Prime Minister Modi in his Independence Day speech, said so and so. Something like that. And it should be it should not be in disparaging terms. Any references should not be in disparaging terms. Also, any such references should not reflect your own political orientation. It should not give away your political inclination. We are all political creatures after all. So you will be either pro-Modi, anti-Modi or whatever. But that should not get reflected in your answers. Can you criticize political leaders, say Nehru or a Modi? Yes, you can. But then don't own it up. Don't make it your view. Say according to Christophe Jefferlot, so and so. Yeah, according to T.N. Madan, Nehruvian secularism mein ye thi. And don't make it too much person specific. It's not so much about the person as it is about his ideas or his philosophy. Okay? So instead of Nehru, preferably criticize Nehruvian secularism, ya Nehruvian socialism, ya Nehruvian developmental model. Instead of Modi, criticize the Hindutva ideology. Okay? That would be far preferable. So I hope, is that sufficiently addressed? Institutions like? Okay, so institutions, say for example, Congress you can and do mention by name. Because our political evolution is interwoven with the development of the Congress party. So all scholarly literature also by name mentions the Congress party. Okay, so it is clearly this thing. Instead of mentioning RSS per se, you talk about Hindutva ideology, yeah, right-wing politics, those kind of phrases. That will be preferable. और कोई बात? चलिए, अब चलते हैं from democracy to demography. Demos, as we said, refers to the people. Like its democracy is rule of the people. है ना? Graphy means what? That we have known from geography, biography, autobiography. Graphy is what? Study of. So demography is what? Study of the people. A study of the population. So another word for demography is population studies. ठीक? Population studies. One of the online students is asking whether there was class yesterday or not. The answer is no, there was no class yesterday. It had been cancelled. Dhanyavad bhaiya. Yesterday's class had been cancelled. Now, one of the main sources for population studies or demographic studies is the census. What is the census? What do you mean by census? Like we say, come back to your senses. No. What is census? Survey All India survey. Good. People are counted. Loads of information is collected. It's not just a head count of the population. Though the Hindi term Jan Ganana suggests it is a head count, but it is far more than just that. It collects a huge wealth of information regarding various characteristics of the population. For example, it collects information regarding people's sex. So you'll get an idea about the sex ratio. It collects age information, date of birth and age of each person. So you will get the age structure of the population. कि कितने देश में बूढ़े हैं, कितने बच्चे हैं, कितने जवान. It collects information regarding marital status. It collects information regarding, languages spoken, the mother tongue also and any other languages if spoken. It collects information regarding religion. So you will have idea about the religious composition of the society. It collects information about disability. So you will have an idea how many people are, say, hearing impaired or this or that. It collects information regarding whether you are SC or ST. So you will have an idea about their share in the population. It collects information about occupation, educational background. What is, the highest level of education you have acquired? What kind of occupation you are in, which industry or segment of the economy one is working in, whether you have any work experience, how many years in a day do you work? So much information. It collects information regarding people's fertility behavior. How many children do you have? How many children you've birthed in the past year? And so on and so forth. It collects information regarding people's housing. So how many people live in a given household? Who is the head of the household? So you will have an idea, for example, how many female-headed households are there. Are you with me? You will have information regarding whether the houses have tiled roof or they are kacha houses or pakka houses. Whether they have latrine in the compound, within the household. Do they have tap water connection? So many things. What kind of fuel they are using? What kind of amenities they have? Do they have a TV, a fridge, AC or whatever? What kind of vehicle do they have? So point is friends, it's not just a head count, it generates a wealth of data regarding various aspects of people's lives. It's a very, very comprehensive survey of the population. ठीक? I'll share this schedule, you'll have an idea in the Telegram channel with what all, you don't need to write all these, कि क्या क्या सब कुछ collect करते हैं, बहुत कुछ collect करते हैं. एक crucial चीज जो नहीं collect करते हैं, one aspect which is conspicuous by its absence, caste, है ना? And there's a lot of heat being generated nowadays regarding conducting a caste census. That's a different debate we'll have briefly. So कब से कर रहे हैं हम collect data regarding the various characteristics of the population? Since 1872, 71, 1972, 1872, colonial period, best. Since our civilizational bachpan. And honestly, I'm not making it up. Okay? It's mentioned in the census report itself that this aspect regarding collecting information about the population in detail finds mention in the Arthashastra of the ancient period. Kautilya's Arthashastra में, medieval period में, N.A. Akbari में इसका जिक्र है. And of course, the modern day census exercise that we are conducting, that we conduct nowadays can be traced to the colonial period. The first modern census was conducted during 1865 to 1872. That was the first modern census that was conducted. This was a non-synchronous census. Non-synchronous census. The next census was conducted in 1881, which was a synchronous census. What's the difference? Non-synchronous census means simply that the census was not conducted at the same time throughout the country. That is what is non-synchronous. For example, if data is being collected from the population of Delhi, hypothetically, in 1866, it is being collected in Bombay province in 1868. It is being collected in Uttar, United Provinces in 1871. At different points of time in different parts of the country, data is collected by the census enumerators. 1881 mein, it was a synchronous census, meaning about the same time, data is collected from throughout the country. Which is better? Synchronous या non-synchronous? क्यों synchronous? मैं तो कहता हूं non-synchronous. If you let me, साफ बात है, you can make do with fewer resources. वही 50-100 लोग रखे, वो 66 में दिल्ली में किया, फिर 68 में यूपी पहुंच गए, 70 में तमिलनाडु पहुंच गए. Double counting, triple counting, yes, absolutely. That is the major flaw. Say if I am in Delhi in 1866, I am counted in Delhi's population. Then 1868 I am in UP, so I'll be counted there. Then 1870 I'll be in Tamil Nadu, I'll be counted there. एक का 3 हो गया, ठीक है? So in contrast, the synchronous census which was conducted in 1881, it is like a snapshot of the total population at a given point of time. Right? So since 1881, we have been conducting synchronous censuses decennially. Decennially matlab every decade, every 10 years. 1881, फिर 1891, फिर 1901, 1911, so on and so forth, till 2011. फिर मोदी जी ने कह दिया नहीं, ठीक है? So since 1881, we have been conducting synchronous decennial censuses. Decennial matlab every 10 years. Decade शब्द से. So when we say snapshot at one time, it is during 2 to 3 weeks in February. Okay, that the data is collected by census enumerators throughout the country. And then the population is estimated for the 1st of March of the census year. ठीक है? This is what is done. 2 to 3 weeks of February throughout the country. I think starting from the 2nd week till the end of February, near about that time. Throughout the country, the census enumerators collect information. Of course, there's a lot of background work which goes into it. For example, you will give numbers to houses and a lot of prior work goes into it, but the actual data collection is then done during those 3 weeks. लिखो. According to V.M. Dandekar, the census of the population is the total process of collecting. But it's not just collecting data, of collecting, compiling, evaluating. Does it end with evaluation? Analyzing and publishing. क्या? Demographic, economic and social data pertaining at a specific time to all the persons in the country. Publishing demographic, economic and social data pertaining at a specific time to all the persons in the country. ठीक? So clearly, friends, the census is a very mammoth exercise. A lot of resources need to be mobilized. A lot of government machinery is dedicated to collecting information from each and every member of our society. From this very large population, we are collecting data about, on various parameters, about each and every person. So you can understand the magnitude of the exercise. A lot of money is spent. It's a costly affair. Should we be doing it at all? क्या ही करोगे इतने डेटा का? And we should not doubt the wisdom of Modi ji. I suspect he has saved us a lot of money. Yes or no? Maybe we can do away with censuses. या नहीं? क्या करोगे डेटा का? Yes. What good is this data that you collect by spending huge amounts of money? जनता का पैसा है, जनता गरीब है. Helps in better policy making. Imagine yourself as a policy maker, okay, as a high level bureaucrat. What use will you make of the census data or how? Practically बताओ, किस चीज के लेके इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो? सही कह रहे हो? Okay, so we may get to know from the census data that in a particular district, that certain districts, they have very low literacy rates. So we can, look at what is the loopholes in policy implementation. Why people there particularly are less literate than in other parts of the country or in the neighboring districts. Good. और क्या करोगे? Policy making में काम आएगा? Fertility rate, again policy making कर सकते हैं regarding fertility rate, literacy rate. Resource allocation, absolutely friends. So a more scientific, data-based resource allocation, policy making, policy evaluation, all of this becomes possible. Which is reflected in the recent elections also. The UP Bihar people, they go on breeding, while the southern states have to be penalized. They are paying. Correspondingly, yes, वो delimitation exercise जब भी वो unfreeze होगी, जो अभी होनी है. So the पढ़ा लिखा South will be penalized for, more पढ़ा लिखा reproductive behavior. So yes, census data is very crucial in policy making, policy evaluation, funds allocation. Targeted policies can be made. For example, based on census data, you can find out how are Muslims faring vis-a-vis the total population. भैया मुस्लिम्स का लिटरेसी रेट इतना है कंपेयर टू हिंदूज एंड जैन्स एंड सिख्स. तो हम मुस्लिम चिल्ड्रन की एजुकेशन के लिए कर सकते हैं कि शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट का इंसिडेंस ऑफ पॉवर्टी हायर है बाय एक्स परसेंटेज कंपेयर टू द टोटल पॉपुलेशन. सो टारगेटेड पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशंस कैन बी मेड. या सर्टन कम्युनिटीज दो रिच दे हैव, या certain regions, though rich, they have very poor child sex ratio. So वहां पे जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन करने की आवश्यकता है, कर सकते हैं. जैसे कि हरियाणा में हमने किया कि बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ. हाँ, देश भर में किया विद अ पर्टिकुलर फोकस ऑन हरियाणा. हाँ, so you're saying it's like given the, because it covers the whole of the population. So of course that data is of immense use, and not just that, not just for policymakers and government, but also for social scientists of all use. It is used by sociologists, anthropologists, economists, geographers. तो हमारी भी रोटियां सिकती हैं सेंसस डेटा पे. सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, उनके काम आता है. वो ढूंढते हैं समाज में कौन सा वंचित वर्ग है ना. To give you a sense of the financial dimension of the census exercise, globally, the average cost of gathering data, census data, is 4.6 US dollars per person. That's the global average cost of 4.6. In case the point is not too visible, let me make it visible. 4.6 US dollars. एक बंदे की इंफॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट करने के लिए दुनिया भर में इतना पैसा खर्च होता है. इन रुपी टर्म्स दैट्स हाउ मच कन्वर्टेड? 300-400 रुपया एक बंदे का डेटा कलेक्ट करने में. मेक अ वाइल्ड गेस व्हाट वुड बी इंडियाज कॉस्ट ऑफ डेटा कलेक्शन थ्रू सेंसस यूजिंग दिस एज अ बेंचमार्क. इससे कम, ज्यादा, इतना ही, और कितना कम, ज्यादा, या यस 7.2 because we are inefficient and corrupt. So due to leakages, why this mathematically like 7.2? Just like that. Huh? Any other guesses? कितना कम, क्या कम? $1.5. डॉलर्स में बात करते हैं. $1.5. और बताइए. यस, $3 मैं पीपीपी में नहीं घुस रहा, फॉर गॉड सेक. आई एम वेरी कमजोर इन दैट. इट इज इन इंडिया द कॉस्ट ऑफ डेटा कलेक्शन इज 0.5 US dollars per person. In other words, friends, our data collection, our census operations are very cost effective. A fraction of the global average cost. तो पैसा खर्च होता है, but efficiently. The 2021 census, if at all it is conducted. Now appreciate, friends, the census has been till 2011 conducted without fail, irrespective of which government was in power, irrespective of whether it was colonial rule ya independent India, irrespective of, for example, in 1971 we were besieged with the Bangladesh issue, an influx of large number of migrants from Bangladesh, followed by a war with Pakistan. 1941 के टाइम में वर्ल्ड वॉर चल रहा था, तब भी सेंसस हुआ था. I'm just trying to highlight the importance of the exercise. It has been conducted continuously. Sometimes, admittedly, the census was, quickened and simplified. For example, 1941. Because of the war situation, it was more, overall data that was gathered, not the barik data. But it was conducted nonetheless. Theek? Till Modi ji. Now, why the census operations have been not conducted now? So yes, so one, of course, factor has been the pandemic, but that is also now past. Uske baad जीवन नहीं रुका, elections नहीं रुके, governance नहीं रुका, है ना? But yes, the COVID was one of the immediate reasons. Nevertheless, the government has not said that it will not be conducted. It is to be conducted, only it's a matter of when. And whenever it is conducted, the 2021 census will be India's first digitalized census. First digitalized census. Should we be engaging in these population studies? क्या हमारे लिए पॉपुलेशन इंपॉर्टेंट है? क्यों? क्योंकि हमारे पास दुनिया की सबसे ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन है. Congratulations are in order in 2023. India surpassed China. In mid of 2023, we have surpassed China to become the world's most populous country. So if you look at the distribution of population globally, where do people live in the world? India, of course, is the most populous country. What is our population? About 1.4 billion people is India's population. China's is near about same, fraction less would be China's. Near about 1.4 billion is China's. Followed by which? Absolutely, it is the US. US is the third most populous country in the world. ठीक है, हम लोग सोचते हैं कि अमीर लोग हैं, पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, तो कम बच्चे करते होंगे. But US is the world's third most populous country, followed by, now that will be a good thing if you can guess. Sorry? Not Brazil, Indonesia. I was very surprised when I got to know that. I used to think Indonesia is like Japan. छोटा सा island nation, पतला सा pancreas type का पड़ा हुआ. But it is the world's fourth most populous country. Followed by? No, not Brazil. Not Brazil. Not Bangladesh. Come on. Pakistan. Bilkul, Pakistan. Followed by? Not Bangladesh. Not Brazil. Not Mexico. Good, these are all good guesses but incorrect. Nigeria, very good. Nigeria. Followed by Brazil, then Bangladesh. Then Russia. Then Mexico. That's the top 10 most populous countries in the world. Okay? See, Bangladesh ranks low possibly also because a lot of them are here. ठीक है? नहीं, गलत बात, ऐसे नहीं बोलते नेबर्स को. Now, not only are we the most populous, but the gap between India and China on the one hand and the rest of the world on the other is quite stark in numbers terms. For example, India's population, which equals about China's, or slightly ahead China's, is more than the total population of the next 5 most populous countries in the world combined. चाइना को छोड़ दो तो इंडियाज पॉपुलेशन इज इक्वल टू द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ यूएसए प्लस इंडोनेशिया प्लस पाकिस्तान प्लस नाइजीरिया प्लस कौन सा है अगला, ब्राजील. समझ रहे हैं आप? वी अकाउंट फॉर अबाउट 17.5 रफली % ऑफ द वर्ल्ड्स पॉपुलेशन. दुनिया की टोटल पॉपुलेशन है अबाउट 8 बिलियन, out of which around 17.5%, 16-17% are in India. So, India and China together account for 1/3 of the world's population. Yeah, India alone is home to 1/6 of the world's population. ठीक? Not only are we too many, we are also very jam-packed. हमारी सिर्फ पॉपुलेशन नंबर्स हाई नहीं है, पॉपुलेशन डेंसिटी भी ठीक ठाक है. टू गिव यू अ सेंस, अमंग्स द 10 मोस्ट पॉपुलस कंट्रीज इन द वर्ल्ड जो आपने नाम लिखे, विच इज द मोस्ट डेंस? नॉट इंडिया, बांग्लादेश. बांग्लादेश इज द मोस्ट डेंसली पॉपुलेटेड इन द अमंग्स द 10 मोस्ट पॉपुलस कंट्रीज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, followed by India. ठीक? To give you a sense, friends, USA has about 4.5% of the world's population. USA has 4 to 4.5% of the world's population, which it supports on 7.2% of the world's surface area. USA has 4 to 4.5% of the world's population on 7.5% of the world's surface area. India, on the other hand, has 17.5% of the world's population on only 2.4% of the world's surface area. I'm being asked what is the position of Bangladesh in population. Globally, it ranks at number 8. 8 na? ठीक? So, we clearly have a large population and a fairly high population density as well. However, friends, please appreciate, when we say we have a large population, it does not capture the regional diversities in India. This large population is not evenly distributed through our territory. I'm now going to give you a sense of the regional distribution of India's population. Which is the most populous state? It is Uttar Pradesh. UP is the most populous state and it houses about 16.5% of India's population. Followed by Maharashtra. Good. Maharashtra. It has 9.2%. Followed by, come on, Punjab. What kind of a guess is this? Bihar. Bilkul. 8.6%. Followed by West Bengal. Very good. 7.5%. ठीक है, ऐसे कर करके खूब सारी हैं. महाराष्ट्र इज 9.2%. And the least populous amongst the states and union territories? Lakshadweep. Very good. Lakshadweep it is. It has a population of 65,000 odd people. It's like सारे पारसीज को वहां जाके बसा दिया. It's so unfair. But which accounts for about 0.005% of India's population. 0.005%. And the least populous state, this is a UT, is which? Sikkim ya Goa? Sikkim. Good. Sikkim. Sikkim has 0.05% of India's population. Sorry? 0.05% of India's population is in Sikkim. Did I say 0.5? 0.05 only. So ये है हमारी पॉपुलेशन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. हम इतने ज्यादा क्यों हैं? Are we breeding like rabbits? इंडिया में पॉपुलेशन की तादाद इतनी क्यों है? Is it that Indians are, more than other people interested in sex? Many of the boys are looking inward and thinking, हाँ मैं तो हूँ. But is that a youth thing, possibly across nationalities and cultures, or are we too, So, we have a large population base, he's saying. Great. Yes? Less sex education makes us more sex obsessed, you're saying. है ना? Family planning is not much discussed. ठीक है. So agrarian economy kind of results in a higher fertility rate. Because of poor healthcare facilities. Great. What I am trying to identify, friends, is do we have a very high population growth rate? The answer to that is no, we don't. Despite having the world's largest population, please appreciate our population growth rate is moderate. It's not too high. As per the last census, यानी 2011 census, India का population growth है 1.64% per annum. That is the annual population growth rate, 1.64%, which is not too high. Now, high and low, these are comparative terms. So if you compare it with other societies or other countries, it is very realistically, very legitimately, it can be classified as moderate. About 100 odd countries, to give you a sense, have a population growth rate higher than ours. So it's not that we are breeding particularly like rabbits, or at a higher rate than other countries. The reason that we have a large or the largest population in the world is, as he very rightly pointed out, because our population has always been large. This land has been very fertile, literally and figuratively. In other words, it has supported a very large population. So we have always had a large population base. So even if there is moderate population growth, you end up having the largest or one of the largest populations in the world. Bluntly, हम इसलिए इतने सारे हैं क्योंकि हम हमेशा से बहुत सारे रहे हैं. I'll share some data with you to give you a sense of how this. Can you see it? You do not need to note it down. Okay? Do not need to note it down. This table shows India's population. This is the census year 1901, 11, 21, 31. This is the total size of the population. Here it is 23 crore 83 lakhs 96,327. That's the total population for every census year. Okay? This is the change in the population. So in 1901 it was 23 crore 83 lakhs. Then over the next decade, between 1901 and 1911, 1 crore 36 lakh 97,063 persons were added. Total population became this plus this, 23.83 crores and 1.3 crores, 25.2 crores. Are you with me? This column is the decadal population growth rate. Between 1901 to 1911, the population increased by 5.75%. This is the annual population growth rate. So in a year, 0.5% per annum, there was the population growth rate. This is what the table indicates. What I want you to do, not note it down, but glance through this table, look at it for a bit, and then give me some key takeaways. Okay? Some broad trends or things that you can identify. I hope it's visible enough. Sorry? Zoom in, 1 sec. I don't know, I don't think it can be done here. That is encouraging. But how do I do it? If I touch it, it will vanish. It's not happening. See it as it is. 1 sec, let everybody see, then we'll take comments. Do you want me to move this thing? I can't. अगर गिरा then बस 4 कॉलम गायब. Let me see if I can. हाँ, ये पकड़ लो, है ना? ये चीजें महंगी होती हैं. Is it better? चलो, रख दो. हाँ, बस, धन्यवाद. Now tell me. Sorry? हाँ, कोई नहीं, we'll shift back. देख लिया? चलो, आओ, we'll shift back. एक second. हाँ, so tell me, what are the key takeaways from this table? Yes? Brother? 1911 to 1921. Very good. So that is the only decade between 1911 to 1921 when we had a negative population growth, meaning the total population declined. Only decade when the population has declined in absolute terms. है ना? 1911 में 25 करोड़ 20 lakhs थे, 1921 में 25 करोड़ 13 lakh people थे. And why was this decline? It was the Spanish flu basically. The Spanish flu, which wiped out globally. It was a global pandemic almost 100 years before the present pandemic, which wiped out anywhere from 5 to 10% of the world's population. It also had an adverse bearing on India's total population. इसीलिए कहते हैं प्रेजेंट वाला जो पैंडेमिक था, कोरोना वाला, हल्के में छूट गए. ठीक है? That it was, much less in terms of the toll on human lives than the previous pandemic. हाँ, और क्या देखा? Brother? After? Annual growth rate has decreased after 1991. Is that correct? It started declining before that. See, I'll tell you. You don't have to remember the whole table, just the key takeaways, which are as follows. This is what you'll be noting down. One is the negative growth rate only in one decade, 1911 to 1921, largely on account of the Spanish flu. Secondly, and these are the key takeaways. In 1901, India's population was about 24 crores. In 1901, our population was about 24 crores. Theek? In 1951, it was about 36 crores. 51 is important. A, because it's the middle of the century. B, because it coincided with independence. So we can identify some trends before and after independence, right? And in 2001, it became 102 crores. 102 crores. In 2001, the total population was 102 crores. Last census, of course, it was 121 crores. Even if you can't see, take my word for it. In 2001, 102 crores. In 2011, 121 crores. Meaning what, friends? In the first 50 years of the previous century, the population increased only by, 24 crores. You know? Only by 50%. From 24 to 36. 12 crore ka addition hua, which is 50% on the base of 24 crores. And in the next 50 years, it has almost tripled. Almost tripled. In other words, friends, जो major हमारा population increase हुआ है, कब हुआ है? After independence. Same 50-year time slots हम लेके चल रहे हैं. First 50 years of the 20th century, when we were under colonial rule, it only increased from 24 to 36 crores. But in the next 50 years, from 36 to 102 crores. अगर सेम पेस पे इंक्रीज करता जितना पहले था तो हमारी कितनी पॉपुलेशन होती? 36 प्लस 18, which is 54. But instead it has become 102 crores by 2001. So the pace of population increased has population growth has greatly increased after independence. Clearly. Or you can look at it this way, till 1951 the annual population growth rate remained less than 1.33%. Before independence, the max it touched was 1.3%. After independence, it has remained substantially higher throughout than 1.33%. Simply हमारा जो population addition हुआ है major, वो हुआ है after independence. After independence, it has all been far higher than 1.3%. ठीक? The decades from 1951 till 1981 were particularly witnessed a high population growth rate. 1951 से 81 का period particularly high growth rate witness करता है. (1961 से 81) आप देखो 2.2 पे होवर कर रहा है from 1961 to 1981. These are the decades of population explosion. 1961 to 1981, these 2 decades particularly resulted in population explosion, with growth rate, annual growth rate being 2.2% for 2 crucial decades. ठीक? These 2 decades were very, very crucial in adding to our numbers. Since 1981, what do we see? What do we see? A declining trend. The population growth has declined from 2.2 to 2.14 to 1, ये लिखने की जरूरत नहीं, to 1.95 to the present or the last census one, 1.6%. So there's a clear secular trend of decline in our population growth rate after 1981. Please appreciate, a declining population growth rate does not mean a declining population. Population continues to increase even during these years of declining population growth rate. Even after 1981, population increased from 68 crores to 84 crores to 102 to 121 crores. So when we say population growth rate is declining, it means, what does it mean? Sorry? The pace of increase of population has reduced. So population continues to grow but at a slower pace. Okay? So population is not declining the way it did in 1911-21. That was the only negative growth. Negative growth means total population declines. But a declining population growth rate means population continues to increase, though at a slower pace. ठीक? This is what has been happening. ठीक? Why? What explains our growing population? Brother? Yeah. Which is? Great. Medical facilities have vastly improved after independence. One of the many factors. How does education affect your population, this thing? Size? Okay. Has not changed. Great. Well taken. Point well taken, though not, a lot of our friends here may not be able to grasp because it was not very well articulated, very frankly, but it's a legit point. We've achieved food security. That goes a long way. Absolutely. Bilkul. We'll try to analyze our population growth using various theoretical models. Starting with one of the most famous demographic theories. Bilkul, Malthus. Have you studied Malthus already in maybe human geography or anywhere? Then I'll skip. No? Okay. So Malthusian theory was given by, make a guess, Thomas Malthus. Now this gentleman, he was like writing in the 18th, 19th centuries. That was his time period. That's when he was living and writing. And he also has an India connection, which is what? इनका इंडिया से क्या नाता? Administration में नहीं थे. Wonderful. He had taught in the college which was established to train civil servants in England. He was a teacher there. So, Malthusian theory, what he basically says is that human population grows at a faster rate than food availability या food supply. पहले सुन लो, फिर लिख लेना. What he says is that human population grows at a faster pace than the food supply available to support or sustain that population. Broadly, जो फूड सप्लाई है या फूड प्रोडक्शन जो है अर्थ का, दैट ग्रोज इन अरिथमेटिक प्रोग्रेशन, while human population grows in geometric progression. So, let us develop an arithmetic progression. Help me. And geometric progression. ठीक. In other words, say at this stage of social life, you have 2 units of population and 2 units of food, which is sufficient for that population. With passage of time, the population increases from 2 units to 4 units, and the food available also increases from 2 to 4 units. Again, it is able to support the population. Then the population increases to 8 units, while food supply only increases to 6 units. In other words, there is bound to be food shortage, या deficiency. There will be far more people than food available to sustain them. ठीक है? अब लिख लो कि according to Malthus, human population grows at a faster rate. Human population grows at a faster rate than food supply. Resulting in food scarcity. Resulting in food scarcity. ठीक है? So, there is an imbalance which is created between the human population and the food availability. To address this imbalance or to restore the balance between the food supply and human population, there are 2 types of mechanisms which are at play. See, basically, population growth rate is what? Birth rate minus death rate. Say in a society, if there are 100 people, 10 children are born, 8 persons die, net addition will be, or the population growth would be how much? 2. So growth rate is birth rate minus death rate. So if growth rate has to be reduced so that it can match the food availability. There are two ways it is possible. How do you reduce the growth rate? Either the birth rate has to be reduced or death rate has to be increased. Yes or no? दोनों से population growth rate reduce होगा. Those mechanisms which result in lowering of the birth rate, those mechanisms which result in lowering of the birth rate are called as preventive checks. Those measures which result in a decline in birth rate are positive checks. And those which result in increase in death rate are called positive checks. I'm saying those mechanisms or ways, those checks which result in lowering of birth rate are called preventive checks. Those which result in increase in death rate are called positive checks. Did I wrongly say something? Huh? This is the final thing. Discard everything else as slip of tongue. I've written correctly. Those measures which result in reduction of the birth rate are preventive checks. Yahi hua hoga. And those which result in the increase of death rate are positive checks. ठीक? So preventive checks क्या हुए? How can you lower, or what results in lowering of the birth rate? Contraceptive usage. सेक्स एजुकेशन से वही कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव यूजेज वगैरह होगा ना. या इंक्रीज इन द एज ऑफ मैरिज. Celibacy. Malthus was particularly fond of celibacy. Celibacy मतलब ब्रह्मचर्य. Not people not having sex. ठीक है? ये सारे क्या हैं? Preventive checks which result in lowering of the birth rate. How can we have a higher death rate? Natural disasters, wars, famines, epidemics, outbreak of plague. Plague बहुत चलता था उस टाइम में. या इस टाइप के पैंडेमिक्स, स्पेनिश फ्लू टाइप के, हमारे कोरोना जैसे. These are positive checks which result in increase of death rate. ठीक? एक सेंटेंस लिखिए. According to Malthus, the power of the population is so superior. The power of the population is so superior to the power of the earth to produce subsistence for man. Subsistence matlab food, to sustain. Subsistence for man, comma, that, I repeat, power of the population is so superior to the power of the earth to produce subsistence for man, comma, that premature death must, in some form or the other, visit the human race. Human race. In other words, we are all doomed. A large segment of the population will be wiped out in one clean sweep by Mother Nature. Because human beings breed like rabbits, and earth cannot produce enough food to sustain this rapidly increasing human population. तो यमराज आएंगे और सैकड़ों को अपने संग लेके चले जाएंगे. ये थी मैल्थूस की थ्योरी ऑफ पॉपुलेशन. कैसी लगी? इफ अच्छी वाई अच्छी, इफ बुरी वाई बुरी. What do you make of his theory? Let us take it later, perhaps, if you permit. Yes, what do you make of his theory? Brother? Faulty. Why? Very good. Today, food production is not a problem. He does talk about it, but he envisages food production increasing very slowly compared to the growth of human population. Absolutely, he could not foresee, for instance, the immense strides in food production, technology which have been made, what we call the Green Revolution. It happened not just in India, but across the globe. See, in Malthus's own times, famines, droughts, large-scale pandemics, wiping out plagues, etc., wiping out large chunks of the population, that was quite common. So his theory seemed to ring true. But today, a lot of these things are, of the past. In independent India, for instance, we have not known a large-scale famine. Yes or no? We today produce sufficient food grains. You do have hunger, no doubt, but that is more due to improper distribution rather than availability. In other words, friends, thanks to technological progress, food production technology, due to strides in food production technology, the quantum of food being produced is sufficient for the growing human population, which Malthus did not or could not envisage. Simply, his theory therefore seems outdated. Malthus was also criticized in his own times, in his own lifetime. Sometimes very, he was like very viciously attacked. For example, there was this very renowned poet Shelley, if you've heard, English poet Shelley. He criticized Malthus, Shelley. He was a romantic poet, romantic era poet. प्यार वाला romantic नहीं. Shelley criticized Malthus as, and I quote, a priest. कहाँ लिखूं? As a eunuch and a tyrant. As a priest, a eunuch and a tyrant. क्या odd, remarkable mix बनाया है. तानाशाह हिजड़ा पादरी. Karl Marx criticized Malthus as, and I quote, the principal enemy of the people. As the principal enemy of the people. As, and I quote, a paid advocate of the bourgeois. अमीरों का दलाल है. Very caustic comments. Why? See, basically, the reason being that Malthusian prescription of celibacy, constraint, etc., were primarily or almost singularly directed at the poor, the working class population. He said, देखो food shortage तो होनी है, तो आप मत बच्चे पैदा करो, क्योंकि अगर फूड शॉर्टेज हुई तो कौन मरेगा? आप ही मरोगे. आप मतलब द गरीब्स. His advocacy of celibacy stemmed from a very Christian, he was actually a priest actually, and it stemmed from a very Christian abhorrence for sex or viewing sex as sinful. So, khair, point is that Malthusian theory today is considered as largely outdated. It was anti-poor. What all these guys are saying, people like Shelley and this thing, it is, very tyrannical because you are trying that people's reproductive behavior be controlled, right? Not only is it anti-poor and tyrannical, it is also today widely considered as outdated. ठीक? So let us move on to another theory. You want your break now? To लो. Short break. The staff from outside, please. Please settle down. I'm being asked to repeat the quotation from Karl Marx. He called Malthus the principal enemy of the people, or a paid agent of the bourgeois. Chaliye, moving on. So this theory does seem outdated. Can we stop the crosstalk bit here? Please. So a far more acceptable theory in the present times is the demographic transition theory. Demographic transition theory of population growth. Now what this theory says, friends, see, another major defect of the Malthusian model is it considers that the two, population growth and food availability growth, what we can roughly call economic growth or food availability, they are as if independent of each other. That population grows independently at a faster rate, human population, than food availability or economic growth. But are the two related to each other? Is economic growth and population growth, do they have any bearing on each other? Yes or no? How? Very roughly, which society would have a higher population growth rate? A rich country or a poor country? Poorer countries will typically have a higher fertility rate. Within a country, which segment of the population will have a higher fertility rate? The rich or the poor? The poor. Richer people tend to produce fewer children than poorer people. So clearly, one's economic situation has a profound bearing on fertility behavior. And this aspect is well captured in the demographic transition theory. It captures how, as a society changes, technologically, economically, its demographic composition also changes. Population growth accordingly changes. Okay? As follows. So it identifies the following stages. This theory has been given by people like Frank Notstein, and Warren Thompson. They have developed this demographic transition model या theory. So a society passes through the following stages. First stage is pre-industrial stage. Pre-industrial society, that's the first stage. In this stage, may I? In the pre-industrial stage, the level of technology is advanced or basic? Basic technology. So economic output is high or low? Low. In this kind of society, birth rate is high or low? High or low? High. Death rate is high or low? High. So population growth rate is high or low? बोलो ना. हाँ, low. Low population growth rate because a high birth rate is cancelled out by a high death rate. So the growth rate of the population is low. In other words, it's a small, stable population. Okay? Either it's growing at a modest rate, or no, it is not growing. It's a small and stable population. Second stage, early industrialization. Second stage is that of early industrialization. During this stage, what happens, friends, that the death rate declines significantly. Death rate declines significantly in the second stage of early industrialization. But the birth rate, what happens to the birth rate? It continues to remain high. The birth rate continues to remain high. Why? If the death rate has declined significantly, why not the birth rate? Bitya. With better healthcare facilities, the death rate declines. Better food availability also, death rate declines. And but with better medical, innovations, vaccines, वगैरह, the death rate declines. But very good. People's reproductive behavior is much slower to change. Bluntly, friends, people love to live longer. So if you give me a goli, that take this and you live 10 years extra, you live healthier, will I take it? Gladly. But if you give me a goli, you take this and you will not be able to reproduce, will I take it? No. Even if I have 2 children, will I take it? No. Yes or no? People are very hesitant to limit their reproductive capacities. Yes or no? So, death rate declines significantly, but the birth rate doesn't. It remains high. So what happens to the population growth rate? It increases to a very high level. It becomes very high. Population growth rate becomes high, leading to population explosion. This is the stage of population explosion. ठीक, नेक्स्ट स्टेज चलते हैं. Next stage is, a later stage of industrialization. By this time, the birth rate also declines. In this stage, in the third stage, the birth rate also declines. Why does the birth rate now decline? If earlier you were not willing to change your reproductive behavior, what's changed? So there is wider adoption of contraceptive technology. People become more willing to adopt contraceptive technology. Or various factors. Contraceptive usage takes off. और बताइए. और reasons बताओ ना. Why does fertility rate decline or birth rate decline? Women's education. Absolutely. Or yes, increase in the age of marriage. लड़के लड़कियां यूपीएससी की तैयारी करते हैं in large numbers. नहीं, due to various factors, this is in jest, but due to various factors, legislation वगैरह, people tend to get married at a later age. Or reduction in infant mortality rate. Simply, till the second stage, people tend to reproduce more. Why? As an insurance against mishap. Ki bhaiya, because infant mortality rates are high, So people have this thinking that if I reproduce say 5-6 children, 3-4 will survive. है ना? उसकी वजह से in the second stage it remains high birth rate. But now people begin to realize that even if I reproduce 2 children, they are quite likely to survive. So people have gone past that stage. Okay? So as due to decline in infant mortality, also birth rate declines. Due to increased material aspirations. Simply now, see, till the second stage, people were viewing children as an asset. कि भैया 4 हाथ होंगे तो 2 कमा के लाएंगे. Now children begin to be seen as a financial burden. कि बच्चा कितना महंगा होता है. एक बच्चे को ठीक से परवरिश करने में, धन्यवाद भैया, कितना खर्चा हो जाता है. राइट? सो बेशक कम बच्चे करो, बट हर बच्चे को क्वालिटी एजुकेशन दो, क्वालिटी अपब्रिंगिंग दो, खर्चा करो उस पे. और अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम्स बाय द गवर्नमेंट. भारत की सरकार ने 50 साल प्रोग्राम चलाया कि हम दो हमारे दो, हम दो हमारे दो. तो हमारे दिमाग में थोड़ा थोड़ा बैठ गया. ठीक? So death rate was already low. Now birth rate has also declined. What happens to the population growth rate? So it declines. So population growth rate declines. In other words, population growth slows down. Slows down. So what is the kind of population you have now? Not stable, it is gradually increasing. But it's a large population base. There's a large population base with a gradual rate of increase. Or a low rate of population increase. Finally, 4th stage. Fourth stage is what? When you have become a developed country, technologically very advanced, first world country. हम अमेरिका हो गए जब. ठीक? In this stage, the birth rate is low. Death rate is also low. So population growth rate is, it is either or near about 0 or even negative. In other words, it's either a stable population or a declining population. Stable or declining population. So you have a large stable population with a high standard of living. This stage is very different from the first stage. In the first stage, you had a low population growth rate due to high birth rate and high death rate in pre-industrial stage. Now you have it in the last stage due to low birth rate and low death rate. In the first stage, people were poor. In this stage, the people are wealthy, or they enjoy a decent standard of living. ठीक? In the first stage, the total size of the population was small. In the last stage, it is large. है ना? तो ये है. ये कैसी लगी? How does this theory fare? अच्छी लगी नहीं लगी? लगी. Where does India fit in? We are in which stage? One of the students is suggesting second, and more voices are saying third. Where do you stand? We are in the third stage. On the whole, we are in the third stage. So we have a large population base and a moderate rate of population growth. However, there are regional variations, importantly. So when we say we are in the third stage, it hides the fact that some parts of the country may well be in the second stage. Such as Bihar. Chaliye, moving from or taking a cue from the much maligned Bihar, let us go to an Desi model to explain population growth. It is the Bimaru model. Bimaru is an acronym, friends, which stands for Bihar, Madhya Pradesh or Maharashtra? Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan or Raipur? Rajasthan, of course, and Uttar Pradesh or Uttarakhand? Uttar Pradesh. Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. This acronym was coined by Ashish? Sorry? Bose, very good. He was one of India's leading demographers, Ashish Bose. So he coined this acronym in the 1980s. Basically, he wrote about a 1 to 2 page article, okay, outlining his argument, and that page was eventually handed over to the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. So it was very briefly made kind of an argument which drew the attention of the policymakers at the highest level. Now what this guy says, that Bimaru or these 4 states, they together account for a huge chunk of the population. About 40% of India's population resides in these 4 states. And these 4 states lag significantly behind. They lag behind significantly on various demographic parameters. These 4 states, which together account for about 40% of our population, significantly lag behind on various demographic parameters as well as developmental indicators. This is also a wordplay on the Hindi word Bimar, which means sick. So, Bose implied with this acronym that these are literally the 6 states of India. 6 states in the sense that they are dragging the country on the whole behind. They are retarding economic growth and contributing to population explosion. अगर भारत पीछे है, इन 4 राज्यों की वजह से है. ठीक? And they are lagging behind who? Specifically the southern states, जो पढ़ा लिखा साउथ है, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh. These 4 states, Bihar, MP, Rajasthan, UP, they are far behind the southern states on various demographic parameters as well as developmental indicators. For example, these states have a very high TFR, total fertility rate. बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा पैदा होते हैं यहां पे. These states have high IMR, MMR, which is infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate. Age of marriage in these states is low. जल्दी शादियां कर देते हैं. Life expectancy here is low. People have shorter lifespans on an average. Adoption of family planning methods is less. So people are not, for example, do not have adequate spacing between children. Contraceptive usage is low, all of that. ठीक. Later on, some scholars suggested that Odisha also deserves to be here. So they expanded the acronym to BIMARU, O for Odisha. And together these 5 states then account for 45% of India's population. And again, the same story. But the original acronym is BIMARU without the O. A more pertinent question is whether this notion still holds good. Basically what he was suggesting that these are the laggard states and these are the ones which the policy makers should focus their attention on. If you can get things right in these 4 states, then country on the whole will surge ahead. Because these are the states which are, kind of impediments to a brighter collective future. तो इन चारों को फिक्स करना है और ये 4 फिक्स हो गई तो फिर बल्ले बल्ले. Yeah. Now this acronym BIMARU was coined more than 30 years back, roughly 35 odd years back in late 1980s. Does it still hold true? Are they still BIMAR? Are they still lagging behind the developed, padhi likhi southern states on developmental demographic indices? Tell me, people from the BIMARU states, or have things changed? Bitya from Rajasthan. She is saying things in Rajasthan have significantly improved. It's far from BIMAR. So for instance, child marriages have been, she's suggesting, effectively tackled in Rajasthan where it was quite common. Now it's 0. IMR, MMR, they have drastically improved. Some improvement in fertility rate as well. So the economic situation is also improved. We are also helping. See, is that sense of regional pride, we are helping the nation, which is great. We are also helping the nation. Oh, okay. But then you did say it with a lot of sense of ownership, we care. Aur bataiye. So Rajasthan, she suggests, has significantly improved. बिहार के क्या हाल है? द मच मलाइंड बिहार, कैसी स्थिति है? क्या अभी भी बिहार बीमार है या बेहतर है? एंड देयरफॉर डज नॉट डिजर्व टू बी टर्म्ड बीमार. ब्रदर, central assistance. So clearly they are in dire straits. You're suggesting that the top leadership of the state is asking for special packages or doles from the center. और बताइए, how's things in MP, in UP? Come on, yeah. I'll share the theory with you, but I need some ground inputs. Is it any different? Are things today far better than they were 30, 35 years back in the previous generation? And to what extent? Chaliye. So, brother, in Odisha, sorry? Cities have developed. Rural areas are still very backward. No roads, nothing. Open defecation is there, even despite like Swachh Bharat. Have toilets been constructed there? The problem still remains. Though sanitation was not one of the parameters which Bose had used, but theek hai, that is a sign of or an indicator of development. Theek hai. So friends, Modi ji, in one of the speeches he made in Bihar before the assembly elections there a few years back, he made a comment that under BJP rule, Madhya Pradesh has been taken out of the Bimaru grouping. He said Madhya Pradesh is no more Bimar thanks to the able administration by BJP chief ministers. So you give us the reins of Bihar and we will transform its fortunes in a similar way. So clearly Modi ji, at the highest political level, he was pitching that Madhya Pradesh for sure is no more Bimar. Not just Madhya Pradesh. Or not just the BJP, even Dr. Manmohan Singh, as Prime Minister on the sidelines of one of the national summits, he had commented that perhaps this tag of Bimaru is unfair, since many of these states have witnessed significant levels of development. Not just that, economists and analysts have also pointed out that, for instance, Bihar, it has witnessed a very high rate of economic growth. It was one of the highest or the fastest growing states economically during one of the 5-year plans recently. Nitish Kumar, the chief minister, he was referred to as Sushasan Babu. The good governance guy. So there are a lot of voices which suggest that the Bimaru tag is now outdated. So a comparative study was once again conducted by Vinita Sharma to test whether this concept still applies. Vinita Sharma, she recalculated the same parameters that Ashish Bose had calculated more than 30 years back. And her findings were that on the whole, the Bimaru tag still applies. According to Sharma, in a recent study, the Bimaru tag still holds good. No doubt there has been development. No doubt. She says that UP, MP and Rajasthan, they have shown greater improvements than Bihar. UP, MP and Rajasthan have shown greater improvements than Bihar. But none of these states have been able to climb out of the Bimaru grouping. None of these states have been able to shed the Bimaru tag. On half of the 13 parameters that Bose used, on half of the 13 indicators, 1, 3, the Bimaru states have not converged with the national average. Bimaru states have not converged with the national average. In fact, on some of the indicators, they have diverged from the national average. ठीक है? Overall, friends, there has been some improvement, but they still significantly lag behind the southern states. Basically, the thing is, the Bimaru states, they were starting from a very low level. The gap was very huge between the south and the north. So even if the Bimaru states have witnessed a decent improvement, they still have a long way to go. There's still a lot of catching up to do. So, Sharma suggests that the Bimaru tag still fits well. ठीक है? Can you just call the staff from the outside, please? Are we a little hot and stuffy here? Yes, ना? भैया एसी चला दीजिए प्लीज. अब वो इधर आ जाओ. चलिए, तो ये है बिमारू की कहानी. एक और मॉडल डिस्कस करते हैं. It is kind of an improvement over the Bimaru model only. It is called the EAG and non-EAG states. Comparing how they have fared. EAG states क्या होता है? Basically, Bimaru states took offense कि हमारी बेइज्जती कर रहे हैं. ठीक है? This term Bimaru that began to be used in official communication. And the Bimaru states, rightly so I would say, started feeling very insulted. ठीक है? How can you officially call us the 6 states of India? कि इतनी बेइज्जती नहीं चलेगी, नहीं चलेगी. So, the nomenclature was changed from Bimaru to EAG. EAG stands for Empowered Action Group, which sounds so much more respectable. So there are 8 EAG states. Namely, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, UP, Odisha, and इनके बच्चे, namely Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Uttarakhand. These are the 8 EAG states. ठीक? Bimaru grouping, Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand. Now, how these states have fared or how they have differentially contributed to our population growth. The story is as follows. From 1951 till 1971, first 2 decades, 1951 to 1971, there was population growth in both EAG and non-EAG states. Between 51 and 71, there was population growth in both EAG states and non-EAG states, resulting in the population growth of the country as a whole. ठीक? So both EAG and non-EAG during the first 2 decades contributed to population growth. After 1971, there was a fall in the fertility rate in the which states? Non-EAG states. But fertility remained very high in the EAG states. (1971 to 1991). 1971 to 1991, EAG states had a high decadal growth rate. Of about 25%. ठीक है? 2001-2011, that is the last census decade that we have data for. For the first time, during this decade, 2001-11, for the first time, the population growth rate of the EAG states declined significantly. I repeat, the population growth rate of EAG states declined significantly for the first time during the decade of 2001-2011, from 25% to about 21%. ठीक है? Combined with the continuing decline in the non-EAG states, it led to a significant decline in the population growth rate. Population मत बोलना, population नहीं decline हुई है. Significant decline in the population growth rate of the country as a whole. ठीक? तो ये है हमारी EAG और non-EAG का contribution to population growth rate through the decades. In simpler terms, first 2 decades both contributed to population growth till 71. उसके बाद non-EAG fertility declined, but EAG fertility remained very high, particularly for 2 decades till 1991. Okay, at about 25% decadal growth rate. Then 2001-2011, EAG fertility has also witnessed a sharp decline from 25% decadal population growth rate to 21%. And the non-EAG, they continue to play a positive role. So that has had a significant this thing. ठीक? एक और मॉडल डिस्कस करते हैं. Kingsley Davis and Gure. Judith? Huh? Judith Dipankar? Judith Blake. Before I discuss their theory, you tell me. See, reproduction is a biological process. It happens across species. Just like a human male and female mate and reproduce, so do ants, elephants, all animals. So is reproduction, this biological process of reproduction, in any way affected by society and culture? Isn't it purely biological? Meant to satisfy the sex need of the human animal, just like in any other species. हम भी मेटिंग करते हैं, हम भी बच्चे पैदा करते हैं, जैसे कोई भी प्रजाति करती है दुनिया में. How is it any different? How is human mating any different? How is reproduction by human beings any different or affected by the society or the culture? Or is it not, brother? Okay, animals have mating seasons while humans mate throughout the year. Very accurate and amazing observation. Why is that, I wonder? Brother? Sex is separated from reproduction, very good, due to contraceptive technology. So you can have sex without reproducing. And perhaps that is why we do it throughout the year. Animals don't have that facility. और बताइए बिटिया, animals don't have to think about? वो भी तो परवरिश करते हैं. They also teach skills or impart skills. Say if I'm a lion, I would teach my children hunting or whatever. So they don't have to worry about money, like human beings do. So there's the economic factor, which only humans factor in. Religion affects, like Christianity looks down upon abortion. Bilkul. So religious beliefs affect reproductive behavior. So many things. The age at which people get married, that affects, and that is also determined or set by the society. That will affect the reproductive behavior. So point is, friends, very clearly, various socio-cultural aspects affect the biological process of reproduction. This is precisely what Davis and Blake argue. That the biological process of reproduction is affected by various socio-cultural factors. At every stage. So they divide the biological process of reproduction into not types, stages. How many? 3 stages. Three stages. The first stage is intercourse. Second stage is, बताइए, does all intercourse result in childbirth? No. What is the next stage? Conception. And the third stage, does all conception result in childbirth? No. The third stage would be gestation and parturition. Intercourse, conception, gestation and parturition. Intercourse meaning the man and woman mating. Conception meaning the woman conceiving, gamete formation or whatever, technically. And क्या नाम है तुम्हारा? Gestation refers to the 9-month period when the thingy, the fetus, develops in the mother's womb, and parturition is the baby coming out of the womb into the world. Okay? That's parturition. So what socio-cultural factors affect at the stage of intercourse? What aspects of our social lives, our culture affects, say, the incidence of intercourse in the society? Religious factors. ठीक है, बिल्कुल. Specifically at the stage of intercourse, for example, the age of entry into marriage, the age of entry into the marital union या सेक्सुअल यूनियन. साफ बात है, जल्दी शादी हो जाएगी तो ज्यादा इंटरकोर्स होगा, लेट शादी होगी तो कम इंटरकोर्स होगा, ज्यादा इंटरकोर्स होगा तो ज्यादा बच्चे होंगे. यस और नो? एज ऑफ एंट्री इनटू द सेक्सुअल यूनियन या age of marriage. Also, societal attitudes towards separation or divorce. Yes or no? Say in a society like ours, where divorce is generally frowned upon, there's a stigma associated with divorce. How will that affect the incidence of intercourse? Zyada hoga, kam hoga? Arey zyada hoga. If there is a stigma associated with divorce, people will tend to stay in the marital union. शादीशुदा रहेंगे तो they will end up having intercourse also compared to if they divorce. ठीक है ना? Then you also have in many societies culturally prescribed periods of abstinence. Culturally prescribed periods of abstinence. Culturally prescribed periods of abstinence, beta. Matlab, you are expected to abstain from sexual activity. Even if you are married, you are expected to not have sex with your spouse. Now, abstinence may be of two types: voluntary and non-voluntary. या involuntary. Involuntary कह लो, say due to illness, due to sickness, that would be involuntary. और voluntary हो गई, say that which is governed by rituals and customs which people prefer to follow, जो कल्चरली प्रिस्क्राइब्ड होगी वो एब्स्टिनेंस. ठीक? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन हिंदू सोसाइटी, ओके, इन लार्ज सेगमेंट्स ऑफ आवर पॉपुलेशन, वी हैव दिस नोशन. जापा सुना है आपने? जापा पीरियड होता है आफ्टर चाइल्ड बर्थ. देयर इज अ कल्चरली प्रिस्क्राइब्ड पीरियड ऑफ सेक्सुअल एब्स्टिनेंस आफ्टर, immediately following childbirth. For about 7 weeks, if I remember correctly. After childbirth, the husband and the wife are expected to abstain from sexual activity. उसको जापा बोलते हैं हिंदी में. एक बड़ा गाना है which says कि लुगाई पड़ी मेरी जापे में, यौवन ना मेरा आपे में. So basically, man and woman, they are expected to not engage in sex during the culturally prescribed, and it's not just in Hindu culture, in many other cultures also. There is this, they would call it by another name, but effectively Japa period in several cultures. So that would tend to what? Increase or reduce the fertility? Decrease. कम सेक्स होगा. ठीक है. इसी तरह से in the stage of conception, चलो सेक्स जितना हो रहा है, इंटरकोर्स हो रहा है, उसमें से कंसेप्शन हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा. What socio-cultural factors will affect that? Whether intercourse is resulting in conception, कि बेबी कंसीव हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा. Societal attitudes, for instance, towards contraceptive usage. Yes or no? At the stage of conception, that will affect. In many developed societies, the contraceptive usage is high. But in developing societies like ours, contraceptive usage is low. ठीक? तीसरी बात, at the stage of gestation and parturition, कंसीव भी हो गया बच्चा, अब आएगा नहीं आएगा दुनिया में, गर्भ फॉर्म हो गया पेट में, अब क्या वो, will that fetus become a living member of the society or not? What? For example, the availability of health infrastructure या delivery infrastructure. अगर औरतें घर में बच्चे जाम रही हैं because you don't have adequate medical infrastructure, तो mortality rates high होंगे. Yes or no? So availability of health infrastructure हो गया. Societal attitudes towards practices like female feticide. ठीक है? So various socio-cultural factors will affect the biological process of reproduction at each stage. Some of these factors, in any society, some of these factors will tend to reduce fertility, while others may tend to increase fertility. मतलब ये नहीं है कि given समाज में या any society, all factors will either push fertility up or pull it down. Some factors will push the fertility rate up, while others will tend to reduce it. For example, in our society, there is a broad trend of early marriage, because of which fertility rate goes up या down? Up. Increase होता है या high रहता है. But we also condone the practice of female feticide due to male child preference, जिसकी वजह से fertility rate up जाता है, down होता है, बच्चियां मर जाती हैं. So they don't add up to the population. है ना? Contraceptive usage इंडिया में लो है, उसकी वजह से fertility rate push up होगा. But you also have culturally prescribed periods of sexual abstinence like the Japa period, जिसकी वजह से fertility rate reduce होगा. या फिर you have poor इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फॉर डिलीवरीज, तो उसकी वजह से डिक्लाइन होगा. समझ रहे हैं आप? नेट इफेक्ट क्या होता है अकॉर्डिंग टू डेविस एंड ब्लेक, दैट इन डेवलप्ड सोसाइटीज, in developed societies these factors work in a fashion or in a manner to lead to a low fertility rate. In developed societies, these various factors work in a way to result in a low fertility rate. while in developing societies, the net effect is that these factors result in a कैसा? High fertility rate. ठीक, तो ये है डेविस और ब्लेक की कहानी, हाउ द seemingly biological process of reproduction is greatly affected by socio-cultural factors. Overall, okay, now overall, apart from these theories, say if you're writing for GS and you have to identify the various factors which contribute to or which have contributed to population growth in India, what will you write? Various factors as follows. Child marriage बहुत कम हो गई है, but let us say low age of marriage. Let's not call it child marriage because that's drastically reduced. But early marriage, low contraceptive usage, various factors. Early marriage, low contraceptive usage, poverty, male child preference या son preference. मेल चाइल्ड प्रेफरेंस की वजह से नेट इफेक्ट क्या होता है? बच्चे ज्यादा होते हैं, कम होते हैं? ज्यादा होते हैं. एक बच्चे मेल करने के लिए 5 लड़कियां कर बैठते हैं बेचारे. Literacy rate and education levels, particularly whose education plays a very important role? Women's education. पढ़ी लिखी महिलाएं अक्रॉस दी बोर्ड कम बच्चे पैदा करती हैं दैन अशिक्षित महिलाएं. The overall level of socio-economic development. The infant mortality rate. Yes or no? अगर infant mortality rate high होगा तो उसका fertility behavior पे क्या फर्क होगा? Increase करेगा. Even migration pattern. For example, lot of people, lot of men migrate out of the villages to cities for better job opportunities, leaving behind their wives. This will tend to do what to the fertility rate? Decrease. साफ बात है, if the man and the woman, they are separated physically, it will lead to lowering the fertility rate. So there are numerous, and of course this is not an exhaustive list. Okay? So these are the various factors, or this is how we can understand population growth in the country. With that we are done for the day. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you बेटा. You guys don't even expect this from me ना. 9 सवा 9 तो बजेंगे ही. चलिए हाँ.